Welcome to From the Green Velvet Couch podcast. Through her professional career of being a life coach, therapist, and certified corporate wellness specialist, your host, Shelley O'Neill, has accompanied many on journeys of healing and personal wellness. Now join Shelley and her guest from the Green Velvet Couch.
I'm so excited to have Adrienne Slaughter here with us today on the podcast. Adrienne, welcome.
Thank you so much, Shelley.
So funny thing, she's downtown. I'm downtown in Nashville, across the area there where we could actually see each other, which was really fun. So it's great. Small world.
Very small. Across, there's a small church and a 2-lane street in between us. That's it.
That's crazy. Go ahead and tell our guests a little bit about you. You've got such an inspiring story and a colorful life. Colorful people that intrigue me, that make me smile, and that make me go, wow, how did they get through that? And you're all of those things.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm very blessed, Shelley. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, was born at Piedmont Hospital. So I say that because I'm not talking about outside of Atlanta or close to it. I literally was born in Atlanta and youngest of 5 daughters. Big sports family, musical family also. Well, tennis became my passion. My dad was an incredible player and ended up being my coach. Who was playing tournaments and actually got ranked in the state of Georgia. And then spring of 9th grade was predicted to be top 10 in the South and turned. This is when I was 14. And cut to the chase, as they say, I had a pain in my knee on the tennis court. And then 2 weeks later, thank God, at that time, the best Cure, C-U-R-E, rated hospital in America, which was in Gainesville, Florida, and having surgery. So that pain in my knee ended up being diagnosed as childhood bone cancer, osteogenic sarcoma. And the doctors in Gainesville, Florida, pretty much said that I was never going to play tennis again. Actually, quote unquote, when I asked, will I play tennis? They said no, because they didn't feel there was any way I was going to live. The cancer spread so fast. It spread 6 inches over the weekend before that surgery, which was only 2 weeks, 14 days after the first pain in my knee on a tennis court. So they had to amputate my right leg above the knee, though it was in fantastic shape with tennis. The main exciting part about life is that I'm a miracle. I'm still around. The doctors told my parents I had 1% chance of living. And that 1% chance was really more of a fib. It was to give them hope, but the doctors did not think I was going to live. And I was very blessed to be able to do chemotherapy, lost my hair, but it came back. I did radiation therapy and came back learning to walk on an artificial leg and then getting back on the tennis court. So the best part was proving the doctors wrong. When I was 16, I actually started speaking for American Cancer Society of Metropolitan Atlanta and United Way. And recently, as of the last 3 years, taken on my speaking profession 100%. So that is what I do. And aside from a lot of traveling internationally and domestically for work, I love playing tennis. I rock climb, I ski. I even danced in the carnival in Rio de Janeiro on the prosthesis. It's tough to keep me seated. I'll be honest, very energetic and just very happy. Just love life. Feel so blessed.
We spent a lot of time talking about supporting mental health and mental health awareness and resiliency. And how did you deal with some of the thoughts at 14, at 16, because you're also a breast cancer survivor? So there's a lot of questions. And as a therapist and a life coach, people always say to me, why do bad things happen to good people? And I always say, wish I knew, but I don't have an answer for that. But for you, how did you deal with having cancer twice? And both times were very involved. You actually had a mastectomy, is that correct?
Double, sure did. Well, I love your question because I love answering it. I was very blessed with faith, family, friends, and more faith. So those 4 things. And I say faith in God, I still do, incredibly strong family. My parents have both passed away, but wow, were they incredibly supportive of me and my four older sisters, and then tons of friends that I knew, people who had heard about me in Atlanta with my tennis playing prowess. And to say friends of my parents, because my parents were very active in Atlanta in the Buckhead area. My dad was president of the Rotary Club. My mom was president of a garden club. My dad was a founding member of a country club. They were very active and knew a lot of people. And word traveled really quickly when this 14-year-old future pro tennis player all of a sudden is having her leg amputated. And therefore, the professional playing tennis career was no longer going to be an option. The fact that I came back and still play tennis, proving the doctors wrong, that faith, family, friends, and more faith in myself, self-confidence, those four aspects, characteristics, morals, traits. I know that, Shelley, I would not have made it out positively like I am today if it hadn't been for all four of those and my being blessed to have them.
I think one of the things that really resonated with me was you didn't just survive cancer twice, you've had an abundant life, an active life. And you were talking about all the different things that you do. And also, you didn't just stay alive, you were in a mode of thriving. And that's what resilience really is. When bad things happen to us, how do we not just get through them, but how do we then go ahead and have an abundant life? So your life all of a sudden looked different from this. I don't want to say scripted or predictable, but you had a path ahead as a professional athlete. And now your path has changed. How do you get your head around that? Did you wake up and go, now what do I do?
No, I was perseverance. I will tell you, I remember that day, probably the most special day of my life. And this was on a Friday morning in Gainesville, Florida at Shands. Back then it was called Shands Teaching Hospital. It's still, I believe, Shands Hospital in Gainesville, Florida. I was seated in a wheelchair. I could not put weight on my right knee because there had been a biopsy that took out bone to then get cultured and tell us that it was malignant cancer in my right knee. So I'm sitting in this wheelchair. My mom and dad are behind me, and in front of me are close to 10, I believe 7, 8, maybe 9 doctors, mostly resident doctors, and then the head surgeon, Dr. Springfield, down in Gainesville, Florida. He's telling me as it is. He's saying, Adrienne, you have osteogenesarcoma, that is childhood bone cancer. We're going to do tests this afternoon. And if that bone tumor is localized and still only in your knee, you will have choices of surgery. If that tumor is still localized, meaning if it has not spread, he still said, Shelley, that they were going to suggest amputation no matter what. But if I had a choice of surgery, artificial knee transplant, then a new surgery where they place a rod from mid thigh to mid shin, and I'd go back for plastic surgery, but I'd have a stiff knee. He still said, we recommend amputation. He was straight to the point, which is what I've always wanted. Don't beat around the bush. Don't fluff or sugarcoat anything. Just tell me the darn spanking truth, okay? And after his detailed description of my health, he asked if I had any questions. And I learned after the fact that my mom behind me was raising her hands like this. No, because she knew what I was going to ask. I'm 14 years old. I'm not thinking life or death. I'm thinking tennis. And life right then was as close to perfect as it could be for me. I was a straight A student, had a hot boyfriend, had this tennis. I was singer and dancer in a musical. Just life was great and everything was awesome. And when the doctor asked if I had any questions, I said yes. What did I ask? Will I play tennis again? And he said no. And when he said that 2-letter word, that hit me so hard. And I started bawling, crying. and then was wheeled in the wheelchair out of the room, down the hall, up the elevator to my hospital room. And in that time frame, I made the decision through all those tears that I was going to prove him wrong. And I did. Not only did I prove him wrong about the tennis, but I'm still alive. And ever since that moment, I have always aimed, had the perseverance, had the confidence, the can do attitude to prove anyone wrong. And in addition to that, it really made me want to set even higher goals than I had ever set for myself before. I mentioned I was invited to dance in the Rio de Janeiro Carnival and did it. And how the heck, I don't know, but I did. It was wonderful. And I rock climb. I was invited to ski in the Salt Lake City Paralympics. I don't know. Tell me I can't do something and I'm going to go try to do it. I really want people to know, though, that we don't reach those goals. If we tried, we've got to remember that is such an accomplishment right there. Trying.
You're talking about how you made a decision to prove them wrong. And you really had a mindset change that looking back wasn't optional. Not playing tennis wasn't optional. You were going to figure out a way to do it. And I just think it speaks so much to not only yourself, but like you said, your family and your friends, your community. And I always say that we're designed for hard things. That sounds great on a social media post, but to live through hard things is an entirely different experience. And that's what you did. You didn't just say it or post it, you lived it. And like you said, you even set higher goals for yourself that maybe you wouldn't have had in the first place.
Great point. I love you using the word mindset. Very important. Having a strong mindset. I must add that role models were so key for me in my upbringing. My mom and dad were fantastic role models. That meant a lot when I was going through the cancer. And I'll mention real quickly, 2 years later, I'm in an awful car wreck that actually put me in a coma. Unbelievably, the neurosurgeon happened to be in his office adjoining the hospital at 7 o'clock on a Friday night. He leaves the nurses every afternoon at 4:30. And for some reason, this one evening, Shelley, he happened to be in his office adjoining the hospital. And because of that, I lived. If he had not been in his office, I would not be talking to you today. What was special looking back about that accident was there were 3 of us in the car. I was the only one who was hurt. I mean, the other 2 had some bumps and bruises, but I was very seriously hurt with a subdural hematoma, blood clot beneath my brain. And this sounds funny, but it really was best that it was me. 2 years before that, I had been diagnosed with bone cancer, professionally playing. His career really ended, but I got over that. So the inner strength, I believe I had really increased because of the cancer experience. And that allowed me to subconsciously wake up from that coma and live, prove those skeptics wrong too.
Wow, that's incredible. You just keep defying the odds.
I say, hey, if anything's going to kill me, it's going to have to be a Mack truck, a big one. And I'm going to leave the biggest dent on the darn thing. Now, I'm going to leave my mark. It might take that to get me off this wall. I'm not ready to leave anytime soon. That's for sure.
That ties back to having a purpose and a passion. And we have so much to do on this earth versus just existing. And I guess that brings me to this question. What do you do to stay mentally strong? How do you stay resilient? Do you journal? Do you do a Bible study? Do you exercise? So wellness, it's just a lifestyle practice of healthy habits. What do you do?
On a regular basis, I awaken and I rarely get sick. I stay healthy and all, but I just get cancer and almost die in a car wreck. I never catch a cold.
With colds or flu, you're pretty good with those.
You got it. Those trivial things, no problem. I awaken every morning and look outside or look out a window and smile because I'm alive. I think of that every single morning. And I say that if for some wacky reason I get the flu or I get sick, it doesn't matter. When I wake up in the morning, if I feel awful, I'm still going to smile because I'm alive. And I will say that started when I was a teenager. It started when I turned 15 years old, 1 week after my amputation. And I did have the best birthday. I don't think there'll ever be a better birthday because it was phenomenal. It was, yes, a week after the amputation. Yes, it was in the hospital down in Gainesville, Florida. But my parents' best friends came down. The minister and his wife from our church came down. One of my sisters, my boyfriend, and my best guy friend, they flew down. And three cute fraternity boys from the University of Florida brought me a birthday cake. And I'll say back then they were really cute, but I remember what they looked like. And today I would say they were hot. But I was only 15 years old. Darn it. Why didn't I have a business card then to give to them? I don't. They were adorable. But that day still resonates with me so often, remembering my boyfriend, Lee, and best friend, Todd, and they're accepting me in person without a leg. And I know that sounds really weird, but when you put yourself back when you were 14, 15 years old, there's that peer pressure. And yes, 2 weeks before, I've been talking on the phone with friends and had lots of support in person back in Atlanta and then on my birthday. But here they were in person accepting me without a leg because I had never heard of a kid losing their leg before. I mean, thank goodness it's still not common, but that was huge. And when I found out really how serious my situation was, I would awaken in my teeny little room in our house in Atlanta and the window right up to my left, and I'd see the sun shining, or if it was raining clouds, but I'd say a prayer to God. Thank you for me being alive. So I got to say, my love for life, the resilience, and what really keeps me going. And I'm big into staying in shape. I've got my little barbells right down here on the floor to my left and walking. Actually, my Fitbit is charging right here. So usually it's on my wrist. Here's proof I wasn't BSing at all. I think very seriously, when you have physical shape, that helps your mental shape.
In working with patients that have struggled with depression in the past, one of the things I really noticed was the more depressed they became, the less they moved. And one of the hardest things was to start moving again when they were really recovering. So, yeah, movement is so closely aligned with brain health, your mental health, your physical health, longevity. So, you have really, we could call it a practice of gratitude every morning. And then also, what you're saying is the kindness that people showed you was very healing. Most of us can remember when someone is kind to us. And we also know when people are short or abrupt or grouchy. If I go through the drive-through and someone's not kind to me, I remember that. But what really stays with us are those people that are very supportive and very kind above and beyond. I think that itself can be very healing.
I feel that's a big reason why I'm still alive. Shelley, I really believe that I am still here with a mission and a purpose, and that's to brighten the world around me. And for instance, yesterday I'm walking down the sidewalk here, and everyone I saw, I tried to catch their eye or I say, good morning. I did get some good mornings back, but mostly I received a quizzical look, but they smiled, thinking, who is this crazy lady I've never met before being so friendly to me?
And they probably remembered you throughout the day. I don't know who that was or what she had going on, but she certainly made me smile, and there for that second felt good. So that is lasting.
We could all do that. I mean, I was looking at you, you're always smiling. And my friends are saying to me, Adrienne, would you please be in a bad mood sometime? Would you just please get cranky? Because I rarely am frowning. I mentioned earlier how I started speaking when I was 16, and I do that professionally today. I almost always share some statistics. And One that I think it's really neat and memorable is the fact that it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile. No one can ever say, I'm not smiling because I'm tired and it's harder to smile than frown. No, it is not.
Years ago, I worked in a school system, and with my students there, one of the things we did was we would talk on the phone, and we would be able to show the difference of if you were smiling, how that conversation sounded by saying the same scripted words versus not smiling. That stuck with me, that when you're making a call, it doesn't matter that the other person can't see you. You still are sharing that energy of health, of brightness, of compassion. So I always remembered that. And they got the biggest kick out of it. Yeah, you may not be able to see the person, but if they're smiling, they sound very differently. So I think what you're saying is there was a lot of power in daily healthy things to do. And if you put all of those together, it really helped you navigate just the trauma of surgery, the trauma of loss of a leg, and then double mastectomy. And I did not know about the car crash and the coma. And for me, I like things that work yesterday, but they need to be very simple. If I've got to enroll in a program, sign up for something, I'm probably going to not do it because that's too much energy. So, what I'm hearing you say is every single day, waking up and being thankful that you're alive, lifting weights, walking, smiling and engaging people. It is so important what you shared about community support and friends. There's so much value in that. All of those things together have really helped you, again, not just exist or survive, but to thrive and have this abundant life that you have.
Yeah, and I loved you using the word engage earlier because that is a very strong, powerful word. And there can be negative engagement and there can be positive engagement. And the positive engagements are memorable, such as walking down the street and smiling to strangers and saying good morning. Or even when you go to, say, a seminar, the way the person looks and acts before they're introduced, before they have the mic in their hand, before they start talking. I think that means a lot. They say what first impressions, how much that means. That's very powerful when it comes to positivity and smiles. Smiling and hugs are my two favorite nonverbal communications. Smiling is first. My speaking company is Adrienne Speaks with a Smile. And I also blame all these wrinkles on smiling, not my age and being out in the sun too much, but I think I got them from the smiles. And then my website, which is very positive, is adrianspeaking.com. Again, speaking with the smile and reminding people to smile. I want to mention something else real quickly too is our lives are not always easy. Who knows what's going to happen in 5 minutes after we finish talking? I could trip and break a leg or whatever. We don't know what's going to happen in our future. When we're having really bad days, bad times, say there's thunder and lightning in our world, it's raining cats and dogs, as my mom and dad used to say. We've got to remember, or at least I'm here to remind you, that there's a sun behind those clouds and that sun's going to come out and shine again, Shelley, for everyone. It's going to shine again. It might not shine tomorrow. It might not shine in a week. Heck, it might not shine for a couple months, but keep that faith, keep that hope, because no matter how stormy our lives might be right now, there's a sun behind those clouds and it's going to come out and shine again.
That's so important. A good friend of mine that's a life coach, she talks about choose your hard because life is hard. Not going to the gym is hard. Being overweight with health conditions is hard too. Which hard do you want? And I'm passionate about resiliency, and I wish we could work with high schoolers so they understood that when they get out of school, life is hard. It's very hard. But like you said, that hard season is just a season and that sun will come out again. And it's knowing that going through those storms in that season is part of life. It's how you navigate it, but it's not where we end up. It's not where we live. It's just where we navigate through that. So thank you for that.
It may just be a bump in the road. The road's going to even out again. I think that's where the faith in yourself is so important. I did mention faith in God, family and friends, and faith in yourself. That's so important. And I do speak to high school students. I've spoken to elementary, to the young kids too, but I really do enjoy speaking to those in high school because they have so much negativity these days. Being in high school is so different for today's kids than it was for you and me, Shelly, and the social media and bullying. So pressure. And high school students, I can pump up their self-confidence and get them to smile and really like who they see in the mirror, the better. And then same with adults, because I speak to companies of all sizes. And hey, I'm going to make sure that each individual in that audience is better when they leave than when they walked in. I'm going to leave them with something powerfully impactful and positive.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey, and not only your journey, but how to do it for all of us to wake up first thing tomorrow with our eyes pop open, regardless of our circumstances, being thankful that we are alive and knowing that the sun is going to come out, and smile at your neighbor. And I'm so excited that we're actually neighbors in different condos. I think it's so important to hear because you not only give back, but you're actually teaching people how to be resilient, and you're teaching people how to be mentally strong, how your faith is important, and how to build that community of people. So I'm just very honored and blessed to have met you, to have you on this podcast, and I'm looking at just getting to know you even better.
Thank you. Ditto. And I will say, whenever I speak about myself and what I've been able to overcome, it's always a reminder of how powerful this is. But there's a will, there's a way. I know it's a cliche, but I truly believe in it. If you want to succeed, if you want to have a positive day ahead of you, you can do it. Have that confidence and curl up those lips to smile instead of frown. Smiles are contagious too.
Absolutely. Well, let our listeners know how they can reach out to you and to follow you on social media and your website. Give us a little summary of that, please.
Oh, I appreciate that so much. Looks like it's a little backwards there. How funny. But it is Adrienne Speaks with a Smile is my company. More importantly, my website, which is adrianspeaking.com. And my parents spelled my first name the longest way you could spell it. So it's ADRIENNE speaking, SPEAKING.com. And my contact information, including social media, because I'm definitely active when it comes to LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. My website's very positive, so much that when I have a bad day, I go to my website and it always makes me smile.
That is so cool. You got a good website when you go there for yourself. A good rule that I'm going to remember. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. We encourage everyone to reach out and to follow Adrienne. And I know you said you speak to different companies of all sizes, so that's exciting as well. But most of all, just thank you for being so transparent and so authentic in sharing what you're doing every day and how we can all overcome whatever storm we have going on.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate being your guest today, Shelley, sincerely.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Well, follow along and then also go to ShellyO'NeillWellness.com. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And we look forward to helping you live your best life.